All right, good evening to everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. It is 5:31. Tonight we'll convene the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Kind of a brief update to how we'll proceed tonight. We are excited to have Tyler Engel here with us from the Joint Economic Development Board to do a brief presentation to kind of share with us some updates from their perspective. After that, we will begin kind of discussions and deliberations around the budget. We'll start off by looking at the revenues. So taking a look through our revenue side, seeing how we feel with the estimates that were provided to us from Karen and the mayor's office. Then we'll pause for a minute, allow the mayor to kind of share some updates with us, and then we'll start looking at expenditures, and we'll start with our easiest side of the house, which is our nonprofit side of the house. And then we will continue forward on Saturday looking at the rest of our expenditures, if everybody on the committee is okay with that. All right, so we will we'll begin with a roll call. We'll start with everybody that's in the room first, and then we'll do everybody that's online. So let me unmute everybody first. And go ahead and state your name.
Mayor Eagley.
John Mosley.
Glenn White.
Lauren Hollis.
And Stephen Hendricks is the chair of the committee. And then let me mute the courthouse, and we'll do everybody that is joining us online. All right. Go ahead for the online.
Matthew Rice online.
Marie Rice online.
Karen Bailey, I'm on.
Harry Haynes online.
All right, thank you all very much. And so I'm going to try something. We'll see how this works. I've got some material that Tyler has provided to us. I'm going to try to share that on the screens. For those of us that are in the courthouse, you should be able to see them on one of the two monitors that you have in front of you. For those online, you should be able to see it as well. But this time, I'll go ahead and invite up Tyler Engel from the Joint Economic Development Board. And Tyler, if you'll give me a hot second to get situated, and then we'll go ahead and start. Can you all see the screen? Tyler, whenever you're ready, go ahead and move.
Okay, well, I probably shouldn't have put welcome because this is your meeting and not mine, but I guess welcome to each other to this hearing, and thank you for permitting me to come before you. If we go to the next slide. I always include this little primer, I guess. What is a JECDB anyhow? So Joint Economic and Community Development Boards are provided for under the Growth Policy Act of 1998, also known as Public Chapter 1101. They're unique in that they are 501c3 corporations, but they also are creatures of municipalities and counties. So that's where our JECDB, all the others across the state derive the ability to perform certain functions on behalf of the constituents we serve. We can go on. Our mission is really simple. You can memorize it so that you can tell others. You may not want to do that though, because that would probably be a little strange. Our mission is simple though, and that's advancing the prosperity of the people of Unicoi County. You notice that doesn't say advancing the prosperity of one person or a multinational corporation or whatever. It's advancing everyone's prosperity, making things better for everyone. And so we can go on to the next slide. We're also using today's tax dollars to invest in tomorrow. So if any of us have investment accounts, you know, we stick that money in there, and it grows over time, and it's often an additive process in which we, and it's incremental because we go 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. Most of us don't just have a big windfall and increase our net worth by $100 million or something. So we can go on to the next slide. Our purpose, again, is multifaceted. We do all these things that are listed on the screen in front of you. Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
Sorry, you're fine.
We do all of the things, and I've got a mask on, so that doesn't help. We do all the things that are listed on the screen in front of you. A lot of people, especially in Unicoi County, think that economic development stops with smokestacks. And while that is a huge portion of our job doesn't stop there. We try to generate more sales tax for the county through retail development in the unincorporated county. We work with the mayor's office to develop taxes, tax abatements, that is, incentive programs and bonds. We work on mapping and GIS with our friends at Irwin Utilities. We have been working really heavily on housing development. I'll get to that in a minute. We work on placemaking, making this place a nice place to live. We work on land use visioning and planning, grant development, and legislative advocacy. We could go on. So our priorities are, again, those things that I named earlier. We've realigned our industrial strategy just a little bit because, you know, you can use that shotgun sort of approach, but if you're not really pursuing a specific thing, you're not going to get really far. So we are using a target marketing strategy specific to advanced manufacturing, specialty chemicals with an emphasis on atomic chemicals, since we have both energy solutions and nuclear fuel services, BWXT here, and also, you know, we just have a heritage of manufacturing here. We're also working on site identification and development and data intensive development. We can go on to the next slide, please. You'll see all of those supporting activities. I promise I won't read that slide. You'll have this from the county executive's office later. But, you know, we undertake, one of our jobs is to plan for the county. The county doesn't have a formal planning office. You have a planning commission. But there's not a planner who works for the county other than the part-time planner from the development district. So we assist him or her through these supporting activities. Let's go on. So our goals are listed there. Again, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but you know, we passed the capital investment program to assist industry. Now we're working on parts 2 and 3 of that program to make sure we have a positive residential incentive program and tax increment financing, so that we know exactly how that's going to work before we get to the table with our client company. So if we'll continue on, ready to go real estate. That's a biggie in my world, hearing about real estate that's ready to go and you can just go right on with construction on it. So next slide, please. You'll see this big gravel path. I'm sure you've been driving by it. I know that it seems like March was 16 years long, but we've really not had this path develop that long, and it's not been pretty enough weather to even show it for that long. And of course, we've had the COVID crisis. But believe it or not, we've had more prospect activity since COVID began than probably the last 2 years. So we feel like that's a really positive sign. Your support of the JCD, as well as the city of Irwin's work, made this site possible. It's a 150,000 square foot pad-ready site with an expansion up to 210,000 square feet. All the utilities are on site. It is probably the best industrial site east of Knoxville. So we have one of the very best. It's also rail served, which doesn't exist anymore. So we can go on. I just want to remind you of what that site looked like before we invested in it. So that took forever, or so it seemed, and now we have a beautiful pad-ready industrial site to show for it. And we should be really proud of our efforts and our hard work and our patience. So next slide. You've seen this arrow chart a lot. If you'll remember, in 2018, we were at step 0. Now, we're nearing step 4. We're about to cross the threshold on step 4. which is a successful plant site. Let's move on, and I've got other updates to share with you. So within the last 12 months, your Joint Economic and Community Development Board, and this is not just us, this is everybody, all of our partners, we have facilitated a $6 million capital expenditure and a 15 new job expansion at Fun Products Corporation, a 50,000 square foot shopping center development with $12.5 million in capex and 180 jobs at Food City. We built the Second Street industrial site, as I mentioned. We facilitated a $50,000 zero match grant and a housing study through the governor's 3-Star Fund. We've applied for a grant of about $1 million to the Appalachian Regional Commission for the development of a mountain bike recreation park. We're pursuing preliminary feasibility studies and on housing, and also we've been doing legislative advocacy. We helped to write a bill that's going to permit the bond board to incentivize housing. It's the first time that's ever been done in the state of Tennessee. Furthermore, we've offered scholarships to Mountain Harvest Kitchen users. We feel like food incubators are really important. We're also going to offer a co-starters program with a grant tied to it again. That was phenomenally successful 2 years ago. Perhaps most importantly, and when we just get down to the meat and potatoes of it, we've been working for months on a really important locally derived project. The state of Tennessee is going to be making an announcement probably in the next 15 days, so we'll be able to watch for that, of over 100 jobs and multi-million-dollar investment. Other industrial development, we're working with our partner agencies every single minute of the day on our next industrial site, because if you know anything about Unicoi County, they're not making any more land, and so we're very bound. So we're working to formulate a plan that is feasible for the acquisition and redevelopment of a very large disused industrial site, and we're currently pursuing 3 projects worth north of $450 million in capex and 600 jobs, and we were specifically approached to put in on one of those. So again, we're busier in deal flow right now over the last 3 months than we have been over the last 3 years, and I would love to take your questions or answer any thoughts or concerns.
The only thing I'd like to ask you, with the Morgan Industrial site, I thought it looks great, done a good job there. And you may not be able to say it here, but now the old casket plant, about 10 acres out there, but I assume the city owns that, right? Is that the next site that you all want to go and try to develop that for a possible business?
So that's a wonderful question. That site has some environmental challenges and again is owned by the city of Arden. It has ingress egress challenges, so there's an unopened street, Holiday House Apartments. So, you know, we have done some very preliminary engineering studies on that to see if we could get right in, right out for trucks. And it's a little bit of a tall order, but I think we could get there. But again, it's a long game. So you would probably be looking at 7 to 10 years on the development of that site.
Well, that's better than 10 to 20.
Yes,
You know,
definitely.
it's just like what you said, there's not a lot of land in Unicoi County for that.
Not at all.
You know, the only thing that I'm approached by people, and not a lot, it's not a criticism or anything of that nature. It's just that this board, this agency, people, and even myself, they relate it to industry. They don't think about anything else but, well, where's the business? Where's the, you know, people's wanting a Hoover Ball again and a Superior Home and things of that nature. And so that's the community outlook on this board. And so, but again, you've explained you're doing so much more than that, which is good.
Well, and again, in addition, you know, this announcement hopefully coming up,
Mhm.
is sizable.
Good. Okay. Is there any way, which I'm sure that you have an open door policy, which I've not attempted to do, but I probably need to do more of just kind of figuring out the nuts and bolts of exactly what do you do, you know, since we fund a big portion of that. And
Of course.
that's not a criticism. I
No,
think you're,
not at all.
I think you have tremendous talent, but thank you for your presentation.
Certainly, and, you know, as you were saying,
Mhm.
you're welcome, anybody's welcome to come by my office and I'll sit down however long.
Okay.
Tyler,
Yes, sir.
is there anything where Lauren used to work going in at Regal Below?
Legal Lloyd has, you know, issued a warning notice for its employees, and as far as we're aware, they're planning to stick by their drawing.
Planning to stick what?
Stick by their employee drawing plan.
What's
So
going to happen to that facility?
That'll be closed.
I mean,
We're,
will we
you
have
know,
an
we're-
option to buy it?
the county would, you know, take out a bond, is how that would typically work, so
Mhm.
if you're looking at significant debt service.
Right.
You know, and we have been marketing that property just like we would any other.
Tyler, can you comment on how much, on the pad ready side, how much grant money went in to tear down to start with and put back and everything?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, because of non-disclosure agreements, I can't get to specific dollar amounts. But over $1 million between USDA, Tennessee Valley Authority, and state ECD. You know, and we had to do some crazy things. We had to get people to come in there and scavenge the scrap metal off of it and pay us for the scrap metal just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
But we did that, and that was granted money.
You're talking about, and I know you probably can't get into the specifics, but you're talking about an announcement eventually concerning that site. Is that going to be within the next year, you think? I mean,
You know, we're very aggressively marketing the Second Street site
Mhm.
as much as we possibly
Right.
can. We work our Rolodex as much as we can.
yeah, who's going to determine what goes there? Which you'd say that is one of the most premier sites east of Knoxville. So who determines what goes in there? Is it the commission? Is it the Joint Economic Development Board?
Really,
what
you know,
is it?
it would just be the market. The free market is going to determine who wants to buy it.
Mhm.
You know, and I mean.
And I think there's a stipulation. I think last year you stated it had to be jobs of at least $15 an hour. Is that correct?
Somewhere.
Something of that nature. It needs to
For
be.
us to incentivize.
Right. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
Because it's hard to make a living on $8.50 an hour.
yeah,
But
family wage.
right. Yeah, it's
That's what we want.
exactly right. And I'm sure that I know that you're up on that to where you want to put something there that's worthwhile because
Absolutely.
that's a jewel. You don't. That's our jewel. It looks
Absolutely.
like. Okay.
Is the land still at play, Tyler, down there off Dry Creek?
It is, and the board, has an option on that property. So
How many acres is that?
19.1.
19. Okay.
You know, and we've worked really closely and done, sorry, I'm not speaking loudly enough. We've worked really closely with folks from Austin Consulting, State ECD, TVA, to figure out what's best to do there. We're really pursuing it more now, and this is not a secret, as a residential development. Because we feel like we can find other industrial lands that are better suited. Because, you know, with an industry, you'd be right on top of Coil Run,
Yeah.
right on top of Rolling Hills. And I think that would make all those citizens a little bit disappointed.
Hurt their property value, wouldn't it? Most
Could.
likely, yeah.
Could.
The only thing, I'm a layman. I'm just, I think that's what county commissioners are. We're part-time,
Sure.
you're the full-time expert. But I would like to see and this is just, you know, me talking, to look at, that old casket plant, 10 acres there, it's already there, you know, it probably couldn't have been in any more worse condition than what was on Morgan Industries, because they dealt with all that substances, and I heard they did stuff back there back in the 60s, how they would do things and things of that nature. But again, I'm not telling you how to do your job. I'm sure you're looking at that and seeing the feasibility of that. We could, if you all with the lead could bring in industry on that Morgan side, and then another one out there. Wow, that would be a tremendous. That would be a touchdown plus a 2-point conversion. You know, that'd be a Super Bowl win. You know, but Tyler, just from my standpoint, the citizens that's talked to me, your agency, people relate that directly to industry.
Oh, sure, and you know, that's how I open my presentation, is people think that it's just smokestacks.
Right, okay, thank you.
Sure. Other questions that anyone may have? Checking online folks right now. Tyler, any additional comments you want to share with us? Anything else you'd like to share?
No, not really. Just that, you know, our school age population in 1969 was over 3,100. Today, our school age population is about 2,300, give or take. And the projections that my offices run show that we're going to be under 2,000 by the end of this decade.
Right.
So I know some of these programs seem crazy. Investing in housing, that's not traditional. But if we don't start investing in our communities, in our kids, through economic development, making sure that we have family wage jobs, you know, our schools are going to suffer, our hospitals are going to suffer. You know, we just started a new ambulance board, not going to be able to pay our bills with that. It is knock-on effects when we don't invest in economic development.
Tyler, as far as your budget, are you asking for any more funding?
That's a good question. We're asking for the exact same dollar for dollar.
Exact same. Okay.
That we asked for last year.
Okay.
For those who are joining us online, I will briefly share that so you all can see. I don't know that everybody has received a copy of it yet, so give me 1 second and I will share
Is that this? You're talking about this right here?
Correct. Did everybody receive that? I don't think everybody received it via email.
Okay.
So I will put that on the screen.
I thought it was in the original budget books, but if not, I could have sent it out.
Okay.
I'll send it out.
I cannot remember. Marie Ross is asking, how many school-age children did you say we currently have within the system?
About 20, between 250 and 2,300.
Tyler, in your opinion, what is the best solution to solving the decline of that? What's the number one item that we need to have to stop that decline?
Well, that's a, you know, great question. It's sort of chicken and egg, isn't it? My opinion, and the opinion of lots of experts who have been here studying our community over numerous years, is that we need better housing. The number one concern and complaint I get when I am calling on plants and industrial visitation is we don't have adequate housing. Our people are living in Washington County, Carter County, you know, wherever in North Carolina. So housing would shore up a lot of that.
Tyler, one other thing, back, maybe this time last year, I'm not sure, but you mentioned there was a German company, showing interest in the Second Street development. Are they still in play?
Without getting without giving too much away, there was a major family event at that company, a death, and so they terminated their expansion plans.
Okay.
So it wasn't a market thing or a Unicoi County thing, it was just an internal family issue.
Any other questions or comments for the Joint Economic Development Board?
I'd like to, sing Tyler's praises just a little bit. With all this virus going on, he called me and, volunteered his services to work with our small businesses. And, I know you work with several of those. I don't know if you want to comment, Tyler, or not, but he kind of stayed up to date on what was available through SBA and, certainly a resource to small business owners in the county. So he wears more than one hat, and he was willing to kind of take that on as an extra task in addition to what he normally does. So I just want to let him know I appreciate it, Tyler.
Thank you, Mayor. And, you know, I work at your pleasure. I'm appreciative of my work and of my employment. But, you know, I felt compelled that if there was one central place that folks could go for assistance, that would make it so much easier than the three governments and a bunch of other agencies scrambling. So we were able to facilitate some assistance and some education on the relief programs designed by Congress. There were some that we weren't able to help. I don't want to paint a rose garden, but you know, we did get some assistance to folks who needed it.
Tyler, did you, or did the Joint Economic Development Board, did they receive any stimulus money or?
We didn't request it.
Okay.
We would have been eligible, but we didn't.
Any other questions? Anything else? Tyler, thank you so much for coming out this evening.
Good job, Tyler.
Sharing
Thanks so
with us.
much.
Thank you for what you do for the county.
Thanks. Have a good evening.
Thank you, buddy.
You the same. All right, we will turn our attentions now to the budget itself, and we will begin the process of reviewing areas within the budget. We will start tonight by looking at the revenue section. Then we'll proceed forward from there and look through, we'll have an update from the mayor, and then we'll look at our nonprofit position. Okay. So I want to just kind of open the floor right now for discussion, comments as it relates to the proposed revenues that have been shared with us. Are there areas of concern, areas of questions that we can answer? We do have Karen with us all the way from Myrtle Beach, so she'll be happy to answer questions as well. So do we have any questions, thoughts, comments?
What are we out of balance right now? What's the out of balance?
So the current deficit within our budget is is currently $653,425.
Now that's due to all the new requests from the departments. Is that correct?
Most of them are from requests.
Has everything been added into that makes up that 653?
Not everything has been added.
Okay, what's not been added?
The sheriff's requests.
Was that 330?
So some of it's already in there.
Okay.
A lot of it is not. So when we received the white sheet last time,
Mm-hmm.
that was outlining new costs that were not
That was 150,000.
Correct.
So the 150,000 is not part of this 653, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be much closer to 800,000.
Okay.
Can I talk just a minute?
We'll make a comment. Karen.
I put
went
in
back and
for-
Put in what Kenny's gonna bring, the updated version of that Teresa spoke about last time. That's where you get the figure 3,742,890. Couple of areas of concerns on revenues on the current budget year. Some of our office revenues, annual revenues are running just a little bit behind. I think some of it's got to do with the virus. some things courts have shut down. But also it's kind of a trend and, which is bothersome to me, on, what revenue, those revenues, if we don't have to, that's why we made some adjustments. We based everything on a 3-year average, and plus we took a look at the current, what it currently brought in the previous year and how it might be affected by COVID, by this virus going forward. So, just wanted to bring that to your attention. I still believe our deficit won't be as much as what we budgeted, but it may, some of the monies that would offset that, if our revenues come in lower than what we projected, then the shortfall, of course, is going to be closer to that number. So I just want everybody, we get through the end of the month of May and close it out, we'll have more of a handle on what that deficit might actually look like.
Okay.
Mayor, we won't have the end of the month of May budget in April, will we?
We would probably, it's hard, it'd be very close. It'd be very close.
But we'll definitely have it by the 22nd.
Oh, yes. At the end of May, no. Yes.
Stephen, how far out of balance are we if we take all the new requests out of the budget? How far are we out? What I'm saying, if we just stay with last year's numbers.
When you say current with last year,
Well,
Yeah.
one thing about that, man.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to give the sheriff back his gas.
And I know that, yeah,
60,000.
right. Well, what I'm trying to say is we know where we're at with that ballpark figure, then we can add to it.
Okay.
This is a pseudo number. It just makes your head blow up. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Which we've been like that for 6 years. It's always been like that. But what I'm asking is how close would we be to balancing if we were on last year's numbers?
so we're just on the revenue side, we're already south 200,000, just
Okay.
around that neighborhood, just on the revenue. So our revenue projections for the upcoming year are 737. Previously, there was 7.5 million.
Okay.
We're looking at 7.37, 7.4 million now.
Okay. That's
So,
yeah.
so you're already looking at a $200,000 hole there. We did not cover the hole from last year, although the hole may not be near as big as we thought. That's a carryover hole that we have to cover this year.
Right.
And we used a lot of one-time fixes last
We
year
did.
that are coming back to fruition now. So,
So you think it's 200,000 out
I would say we're 200,000 out on the revenue side.
or on the revenue side?
Just on revenues, not
Okay.
talking the expenditure portion of it.
Okay.
That's where, out of that 657 that's currently in here, that's where a lot of that, or a portion of that, 30 of that comes from, is the decrease in revenues.
Okay. Now the question is, what do we do about it?
So looking at revenues, of course, we have our updated penny that's located within this.
What is the penny right now again?
It is, I have 31,287 is the current value of the penny.
Okay.
I don't think we've received any updates since then on any adjustments for that.
Yeah.
The other major item in the revenue side would be the inmates revenue, and that was budgeted at, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, 55,000 a month.
That's correct.
Right. Are we reaching that mark? How close are we reaching
We
that?
were quite a bit over
When
until
until the COVID.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
We just received the last month's, this week, and it was, where it had been 50,000 a month before, it's 42. So it dropped some a little bit more for the current month. We still we'll make quite a bit more than what we budgeted this year, and it would be close to that 660.
Okay.
But unless it stays, the next year stays at the 42,000.
Now, we still got May and June coming in, right?
I think there's 2 months remaining.
2 months. Okay.
Maureen made a comment online, office holder salaries are also mandatory, which increases our expenditures. So that's,
The salary and the salary,
and the salary enhancement that we voted on
that we
last
voted on
year
last year, yeah.
adds for the increase as well.
What was that about? You had that broken down about what, 27,000 this year? or something?
27,000 for the courthouse, and I think
Right.
it was 40,000 for the sheriff's department.
Okay, so about 67 right now.
67,000.
For this year.
That was the estimate from last year to this year.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Other comments as it relates to the revenue side? Are we comfortable with the idea that our revenues will reflect an overall proposed revenue of 7.37 million?
Okay.
On the first page of the revenues, the hotel motel tax.
Okay.
I'm sure that's gonna be lower because a lot of people haven't been traveling. But we might could increase that a little bit.
So the comment, just in case, the hotel motel tax was our budgetary basics for 2019. That amount was 52,000. Currently, we have 39,000 in actuals, and the proposal is 45 for next year. And I think Lauren suggested we look at that number and bring it up.
Well, that's the hotel motel tax. You want to bring it up?
I would suggest 45,000, bring it up 10,000.
Well, that is if this, if everything goes back to normal, you're right, that's what you're banking on, correct?
You know, a lot of this, the 39,601
Mhm.
through May. And that's been with a lot of the.
Well, it's just basically the last 2 months. We had 9 good months with the economy. So you've really got the last quarter which is this month, April, May, and June. I didn't look to see what it was, but we did the 3-year average, and then we did decrease that because with this virus, we didn't know if there'd be as much travel. So, but there certainly may be some room to increase a little bit there.
Like they're not raised at Bristol, they don't act out those weekends.
Yeah.
I think once middle of June, July rolls around, they've been boxed in. They're gonna want to get out and go and do, which you can see that by the beaches right now. But I think, we could probably raise that because people are gonna be on the move, and American people are not used to being told that they can't do something.
Anybody in opposition of raising that 10,000? Any oppositions? Okay, we'll go ahead and raise that to 45,000. Thank you, sir. Question from online, from Matt, is how our online tax sales tax revenue?
Sales tax that we got from the state was right at equal to what it was for the same month last year. That's total sales tax, which includes internet. Year to date, we're up about $24,000 in sales tax over what we received last year. We were up 42,000 last year from the year before, and there was something screwy the year before. I can't tell you why it was so low because it was a lot lower, but it was 42,000 up last year. We're up almost 24,000 over that figure. All that goes into debt service. But yes, we're up about 24,000 over last budget year.
Okay. Now, are you talking about the internet sales tax?
I'm talking about sales. It's not broke out.
It's not broke down.
No, they don't break it out in internet sales versus just regular sales. You just have to track it all to get it.
I would think that would be up, especially during this time. I know
It
it
is
has
for
been at
my
the Mosley
neighborhood.
household, yes.
Last month it was about $1,400 more than it was for the same month the year before. So it wasn't $5,000 or $10,000 more, and those funds do go into debt service. So
we
it
can't
doesn't
touch that.
affect your amount you're out of balance.
Right.
Page 3, revenues, line 44,170. What is the miscellaneous refunds?
44,170.
Page 3. It's under recurring items,
Right.
miscellaneous refunds.
Different package.
We might want to ask Karen, could you comment on that? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm looking, I think this year it had to do with extra funds that came in that we didn't know about. I just have transactions 220, so I don't know. Let me look one more place. I don't know. I'll look at it more before it's Saturday. Just have transactions 220.
We did receive we did receive a rather larger sum that we don't normally receive. It was personal property tax that hadn't been updated, and it went into various line items, and I'm not sure if that, we just have to check and make sure, because I know it went to several line items. So, take for instance, it seemed like it was miscellaneous in our waste budget. We had $1,500 or maybe $1,000 budgeted. We got $5,500, and that was due to that one lump sum payment that we received. So we ended up getting more revenue, but it goes to different line items. Not just all. It's not just here's a lump sum $100,000 and it goes into. So it went into various different line items.
Already pre-committed to some other line.
Yeah. And it's one-time funds, so it's not like if you got 40 this year that you're going to get 40 next year. It was a kind of a catch-up. That's what it was. It's personal property figures that what hadn't been updated. So when it was updated, it got paid.
I was looking on page 3 there, right below the one I was just asking about, where it shows the total other local revenues. We were at 205,000 for 2019, and this year we're budgeting 65,000. That's $140,000 less revenues.
Year line.
It's just the total for other local revenues. It's the mobile line, about it's right above the 45,000. Yeah.
Well, what does that mean? Other local revenue?
It's all the revenues above that.
The main part of that's a sale of equipment, where the sheriff sold all the equipment and put it in his gas line this year. So
We don't have any more to sell, so we can put that.
I don't think there's much left out there to be sold. So we didn't budget any.
I understand. That's why you reduced it.
But that's why, I mean, if you look at those 3 columns, there's $10,000 difference in charges for current services. Well, it took the 13, and then, but the main thing is sale of equipment.
Marie has a question from online. When does the PILT, the payment in lieu of taxes for utilities, line item number 40162. When does that payment come? June.
Every year.
Okay.
Or it has come in. I hope it comes in.
No.
It's been June of each year.
Other comments as it relates to revenues. So we've identified 10,000 in additional revenues we would like to see put back in. Any other items related to, Marie has a question. What happened to the interstate telecommunications tax line item 40350?
On page, is that on page 3?
Page 1.
Page 1,
Thank you.
40350.
Stephen, is there any way you can put that budget on the screen?
I sure can.
That would be nice. For some reason, I've lost it.
Okay.
And that would be great.
We just hadn't budgeted anything for that in the past. We got some in 19. We got 18, I see. But I don't know why. We didn't specifically, unless Karen knows a reason we left that out.
It's a one-time thing.
Should it's a one-time thing.
So that's why we didn't put a figure in the proposed budget. There on page 3, if you want to take a look at what I was referring to, county clerk, down at the bottom, 4510. We got 177. We're at 120. We stand at 122. Talked to Mitzi that she feels like that'll be close to that number. Of course, they're not doing driver's license and hadn't been doing for a couple of months. So that hopefully that figure will come in. But the one that concerns me is general sessions. If you'll notice, we're almost at the end of May and we're almost $100,000 short. And I can't explain that to you. I wish I could. But as far as, where we'll stand in our deficit this year, these 3 or 4 items there is my most concerning part of the budget is how will they come in at what they normally come in over a 3-year average, or will it be $100,000 less? And if so, what's causing that? So I've been trying.
With the restrictions, everybody's doing summonses instead of arrests, and they're putting the court dates way off because of all this mess. So I think it will all come in, and the courts are getting ready to get bombarded, so we'll be in jail. And then I'll hear part about them towards the end of summer.
So that might be extra money in the next budget year, but I mean, it's going to affect our deficit.
Right now, I know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it'll eventually get that's the problem.
Other comments or items, Marie commented, that would really add additional comments. Any other items, comments related towards total revenues? Hearing none, we will accept this for the moment. Of course, we will come back and revisit this as we gather more information. I did want to pause now, and I wanted to give the mayor some time to provide us some updates before we switch gears and look at nonprofits.
One thing that I had mentioned to Stephen, and I've been in search of some funds to offset our shortfall. There are some temporary things that we can do, like for 1 year. One is the amount we budget for our ambulance service. I've mentioned it to Stephen that we budgeted $118,000 this year. We'll spend approximately $10,000 of that this year. That was for rent for the building where the ambulance service is, and that will be picked up in the ambulance budget. So we do have $118,000 there that if we are in, if you guys are in agreement, the shortfall that we have to budget for the ambulance service could come out of hospital funds, so we could pick up for on a 1 year basis. And at the end of 1 year, we're going to see what kind of deficit, if the ambulance service is operating a deficit or not. But there's 232,000 there, so there's more than enough to cover, this coming budget year. If we could pick up 118,000 there, which is 3.77 cents. I've looked hard and wide at our debt service, and I've made the comment that I felt like it's very strong. I even spoke to Mr. McNulty back before Christmas about whether he thought we could use at least 2 cents that's currently going to debt service. And I believe there should be 3 cents there, which would be $93,861. And the reason I say that, I don't say that haphazardly. I'm as conservative when it comes to debt service, but we have about $60,000 or $70,000 in interest income off the bonds that the schools did in the current budget year that went into debt service that wasn't planned. There was no plan that was going to be in there. As I stated, with our sales tax, we're almost 24,000 this year above what we were last year. So it's an additional 24,000 that's gone into debt service. So, if
93 what?
93,861. So that's, if that's something the commission wants me to pursue, I will check with Mr. McNulty and have him do an analysis on what's going in there and make sure of that.
It looks like those 2 items, Mayor, is over 211,000.
That's 211.
Yeah. Right.
There's another item. If you'll notice on the grants, we were looking for ways to cut, do anything we could that would possibly affect our next budget year and the year after. So we did not buy the compactor that we had budgeted this year. Number one, that's $60,000 that will go towards the amount we were short, or 50. We had 50,000, 50 or 60,000 budget, so that'll help the shortfall for this year. And the reason we didn't purchase it at the end of February, we were waiting until the end of February to make sure all our revenue had come in, and by that time COVID hit, and so the state had said we were going to receive some funds, so I believe we can use that for the equipment needs we have there, which saves us in the current budget year. But it also would allow us to possibly get like a penny and a half. Actually, I've got around 45,000. I put down 45,000, which is 1.44 cents. And in those 3 items, those are all. If that's done, you need to understand that's probably a 1 year thing, but that's 256,861 that could help. 8.21 cents is what I've got.
Brings us down to 396,564 is what I've got.
Well, that is if we keep all the
Right.
new,
Which we've been
new
taking
request.
the ambulance out of the hospital fund for
since we've
3 or 4, yeah, I think so, pretty close.
Well, we put $100,000 up front in the ambulance service, but we budgeted 118,000 because the total estimated shortfall was 218. So if we'll have to wait and see when we settle up with Washington County. We've only spent 10,000 of that to date, and it depends on if we have to owe Washington County any further funds. Or I know call volume was down. I talked to Adam. He said it's picked back up a little bit. He thought it would come back to normal, within another month or so. So, but those are a few items that could at least help us on a temporary basis 1 year.
and hopefully next year will be, like you said, the first 9 months was going pretty well until this hit. So maybe,
Well, these are not long, these three suggestions are not
It's just a
long-term
temporary
solutions.
fix.
But it would help offset what we are short
Yeah.
right now, so. But, you know, we're certainly open to any other suggestions. The commissioners have been doing this a long time too, but I think those are items that I looked at, and there's a good possibility that we could pick up another 20 basis points on the distribution of the pennies. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, that's still another $15,000-$20,000. We'll have to wait and calculate that. But I'm just trying to explore any alternate route that we've got to, you know, to make up for our shortfall.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent. Excellent work. It is.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody online has any questions about that, Steve.
Marie was asking a this question. She did get the exact number of savings. It was identified as 266,861.
256,861.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we identified 10,000 in revenue.
That's 266.
Hotel motel tax.
Do what?
Hotel motel
Total
tax.
tax. So that was 10,000.
So
in revenue.
that right there, if we do it, has basically balanced the budget on last year's numbers. Then we have to decide what we want to add and what we want to, right?
Well,
I mean,
you
that's a here, I'm just estimating.
No,
No, it hasn't.
we were short 337.
Okay.
And we were really, that was the amount we showed, but we also had $68,000 one-time gas thing. So we were really at 405 short last
Okay.
year if you really want to look at a true number.
Okay.
Around
Right.
405,000.
Okay.
And so this
Yeah.
is 256.
So you're just, okay, I understand
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
other questions right now? Is everybody comfortable with the moving forward to request more insight on the value of penny on the deficit and making sure we can pull those pennies out? Anybody have any objections? I don't think anybody would, but
I'll contact him tomorrow
Thank you.
and get an analysis done.
Good work, Mayor.
Okay.
Yeah, good job, saving us.
I wish I knew where that 400 was.
Yeah.
all right. Any other comments as it relates to the revenue side? If not, we'll start in the expenditures. We will start with the nonprofit side. We will end at nonprofits tonight, and we'll discuss where we're moving forward from there. The nonprofits, the total budget request for the nonprofits was 184,022 was the total request. That is up from last year's request of 146,350. So it's an increase of 37,672.
Right.
Mayor, is there any of this that we can put in that state money?
Not much of that state money left, is there?
About 90,000, I think.
Well,
I haven't really gone back to look at the uses, and I'd be happy to do that and let you know on Saturday. But I haven't really looked at it because
I was wondering if we could do the fire departments or some part of the fire.
well,
department.
like the search and rescue there.
And there's 10,918 from search and rescue for equipment purchases.
So we talked
Yeah,
about that in the grant.
That's already in there.
It's already in there.
But it's also in the request budget.
Yeah, right, so we can take that out, you know.
So we could remove 10,918.
So-
Is that correct?
Take, yeah. So what's that? So that's what? That's just about 26.
well, it depends on whether you're going with the request amount or whether you're going with what they received last year. You know,
Right.
what we actually put out last year was the lower figure, correct?
It's 47.50.
And then the 11,000 is a new request.
Right. And we wanted to do the new request with this state money, right, to get their equipment. That's what we talked about last budget.
That's my
Meeting, right?
understanding is that was
We
on.
talked about that on the resolution with the first round, right?
Right.
See, the way I understand it currently, and I'll certainly, I hadn't thought of that, but the public safety money has to be used for equipment, one-time expenditures.
Mhm.
It can't be used to balance budgets.
Right.
So if that $30,000 was going to buy a new truck or turnout gear every year, then you might be able to make that argument. But the way I understand it, it has to be for one-time
Yeah.
expenditures. The funds that you're going to use these grant funds for have to be one-time expenditures.
But now, let me help my memory. Last meeting, we kind of had a consensus that what the gentleman asked for concerning the vest and all that equipment, we had thought about we could help him through that money.
That's definitely going to qualify us under public safety.
Right, yes,
Yes.
right, okay.
I would say the YMCA, put them out,
Mhm.
give them what we gave them last year.
We gave nothing last year.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you know.
Chamber of Commerce, I would do the same.
Well, you know, last year, on the years we've been on in the past, we asked for consensus. Do we just want to stay with what we did last year and the 146, 350 and stay with that and move on? You remember how we used to do that? Some we'd have a consensus on that. I don't know if we want to do that or not, but.
Just give the same as we did last year.
Right,
I do have some changes to the one we did last year.
okay.
Just
Well,
my
yeah, let's-
observation.
All right.
So the only two really see here, so I've got one too. So first one is 54,310,316, the Southside Volunteer Fire Department, bringing them down to 15,000 from 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then go down to Unicoi Public Library, bring them down to 18,000 from 21,500. And then I was going to completely cut out Unicoi County Heritage Museum. And that's going to cut 1,000 out of the Children's Advocacy Center.
And I'm a big proponent of Little League, but they're not playing it, are they? I mean, I'm not sure, but
They're starting up in
I think they're trying to start.
June.
They are starting.
They're all gonna try to start, yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's just my board I got, whatever you guys think.
Can you share that again? I apologize. I was taking notes and jotting this.
Okay, you can start all over.
Yeah.
So I
You're
got the
just-
south
you're-
side at 15,000.
Before you start, are you basically going?
I'm going off of 19 and 20 the last year.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it would be easier for me to do that instead of go through the new requests.
Okay.
I agree.
So, yeah, Southside down to 15,000. But that would leave everybody 15, 15, and 10 actually out west. And then come down to the public library, do 18,000 down for 21,500. Cut out Heritage Museum. and
How much
cut
is
out
that?
the Children's Advocacy Center.
Heritage Museum was 500
And 1,000 down there.
and then 1,000.
I do have a couple comments from online. I'll make sure to try to get those in. For Marie, I thought the mayor was going to take the 10,019, 918 from under the grants. Karen, Joint Economic Development Board is 65,000. All nonprofits are the same as last year. From Marie, Frontier Health, Chamber, and YMCA weren't funded last year. Comments from online.
The 10,900 is, that's going to be paid, that's grant funds. So if it's included in the total, then that needs to be taken out.
It's included in the requested for 2020, 2024.
Yes, that needs to be taken.
We need to take it out. She's correct.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the other items,
That comes up to about $20,000.
34, isn't it? 15, 18, and
Yeah, about
1,500.
20.
No, the 18, you're not taking 18 out, it's.
Oh, you're just dropping it from,
Yeah.
okay, you're not taking 18,000. Yeah. So.
The problem I have with cutting the fire departments, you know, Southside covers a much larger area than Unicoi or Irwin. I mean, it's first district, so it's the largest district.
That goes from where they're at to the state line?
Yes, it's a large area, and we don't have funding from, like, Unicoi Fire Department has county employee contributing. And of course, Limestone Cove's is a very small area, but Southside Cove's a large area, and they don't get any funding other than from what they raise and from us. So I don't
They
want,
do fire dues?
uh,
Do the fire dues?
they do,
Okay.
yes. The subscriptions, yes. But I don't support cutting them. And the library, I served on the library board for, like, I don't know, 5 years or so, somewhere around there. And I know they are absolutely doing
Garbone?
everything they can do to make every penny stretch as far as it'll go. And they really struggle with just the 21.5. I mean, they do a lot of stuff for kids, reading programs and stuff. And they operate very, very efficiently. So cutting them any would really hurt them.
If we were to hold on and just do the amount funded last year, that is a savings of $42,000 there. So if we just said we're going to fund at the same rate as last year,
We're saving
we save 42,000.
Well, about 32, because you're, that 10,000 is not in there anyway.
Correct. So 30
about a penny.
About a penny. You save a penny by
It's already,
taking it in
and
$50.
all of that's already accounted for. You know, we've not already done it. Did we do anything for the YMCA last year? We did.
No,
I just being really conservative. I was
No.
going to cut everybody except for the fire department. Sorry.
But that's-
That was gonna be my first.
Well, why didn't you?
Well, I want to be a little nicer.
It's a trap block. That's why.
I got a question for Karen. Karen, did you put in the current budget that we're looking at the deficit? Did you put in what we funded last year or what the request was?
It is last year.
It's what?
last year.
So you're not saving 42,000. What's in this budget, the current shortfall was what we paid out last year. Okay. So it's a savings.
Additional.
It is saving 42,000. If you granted everybody what they want, you know.
That's how it's.
Yeah. It's not.
146 is in the budget.
That's,
Right, yeah.
that's what's in the budget
Right.
you're looking at.
I think. we
I
need
just
to
want to
stay
make
with-
sure y'all understood that.
Yeah, I think we need to stay with just what we did last year, in my opinion. Unless we get on down the road and we see we really have to cut, you know, once we get into all the office holders and stuff. I mean,
So we have one proposal that says to cut about 20,000 in total. We have one proposal to stay even from last year's numbers. Thoughts from other members of the committee?
Since it's already budgeted, I would say just stay with what we got.
I agree.
I'll be the only one that goes.
You got to have one at a time.
well, sure.
Matthew from online says, I agree with funding everyone the same as last year.
And we're all in agreement to add the 10,000 out of 18 for
With-
the new equipment out of grant.
It's already.
It's in the grant.
It's already in there?
Marie also agrees, and so we have one dissension, the remainder agree. So
Okay.
we'll continue forward with the current amount, with the option to revisit it if we see that we need to. I do think it bears a greater discussion at some point about how far do we continue to fund
Right,
nonprofits.
yeah.
We may want to have that discussion in the upcoming years, but we'll also give them some notice, in my opinion, if we're going to remove funding.
Well, like that 3,000 for the Little League. I mean, they don't charge admission or anything. I mean, that's all what's it. I mean, it's in your right. You just want to give them a little heads up. You won't pull it.
I'm gonna be the bad guy here today, taking your spot, Todd. 13-cent tax increase. I said, I threw it out there. It's $406,731. So, and we're at a shortfall if we do everything that the mayor suggested, plus the 10,000 that Lauren brought up. 386,564 is what I have.
That's what I have right now.
And that's
We're looking at
without,
about 20,000. That's, of course, 12 and a half to take care of that problem.
I think in the past, I reckon we just go through each department and see if we feel that the increase is justified.
Still go through line by line, you look at the line number, do it.
Because we're the final naysayers of the budget. I mean, it's our responsibility. I mean, that's how we've done it in the past. But we line item it. We just looked at each one and said, well,
The problem is, we've all been here for years and years and years and done this over and over. We're just at a point from going 8 years, 7 years, 7 years last year.
2012, wasn't it?
Was with no tax increase, yeah. And to go this long with no tax increase, I mean, eventually something has to give. This year, it's compounded with the COVID virus stuff that's affected everything, from the court systems to hotel, motel tax and state prisoner money. I mean, it is impacting everything for us. And the grant money was nice to get, 647,
You'd have to have next year.
637,000.
Next year.
But you can only use it for non-reoccurring expenditures. So, yeah, that's nice to buy compactors and elevators, get the elevator repair and stuff like that. But when you're looking at the big picture of the revenues, then 200,000 off, and then your expenditures, I guess, is the other roughly 400,000. So
I think you're right.
there's no way to go in and cut $400,000 of expenditures.
We're either gonna have to bring in more revenue or seriously cut the services.
If we were gonna raise it 13 cents, this is a sideways way to look at it, but you're looking at 2 cents a year for the last 7 years, less than 2 cents a year.
So I'm a nerd, and I did it, and I looked at some numbers. I looked at the cost of living adjustments, what's called COA for Social Security, and had we stayed with the cost of living adjustments from the last tax increase that we had, our current tax rate would be 2.9602.
What is it now, 2.6884?
2.6838.
Okay.
So had we remained just with what's published from the federal government in terms
Cost of living.
our tax rate would be almost 30 cents more.
If I'm Lloyd,
28 cents
I
more.
think you were on there. The last tax increase was what, 17 cents in
Steve,
2012
how much is 13?
to pay for the
Cents.
middle school. That's what it was. wasn't it?
$100,000 home.
What I will do right now, if you want to look at your screens, I have a request to see what does it look like. Again, I'm gonna, and I have a spreadsheet that I can share with you all on the screens. So what you're seeing here, and I did adjust the deficit surplus to the 386, spots of work for. You're welcome, I can increase this a little bit. This is, the green column is a tax rate budget information. The blue column is taxes on 100,000, and then the cute gold looking color is taxes on 134.51. The reason I chose that specific number is that is the median home value in Unicoi County, according to Zillow. So take it for what it's worth. Numbers range in that neighborhood in different sites. So if you were to do a 13% tax increase, which is line 18, the monthly cost for 100,000 is $2.01.
Okay.
The annual cost is $32.32.
That's yearly.
$32.50 yearly.
Okay.
For every 100,000 in property that you own.
Okay. Yeah.
There's people out there, I understand, elderly people, that $32.50 is a lot to them. But
$3 a month.
go to Walmart or Food City and look at the meat prices the last 3 or 4 months.
Well, I reckon we've really been working on 2012 numbers. I mean, we've not had an adjustment. I think we've carried it as far as we can carry it. I think we've worked hard on it, but
We cut line hours and hours and stuff in the past.
I mean, it's just,
Taking that basically savings account.
yeah.
I mean,
And we took that out of the fund last year and we didn't really want to do it. We did it. We can't do that again.
one thing to keep in mind, that 386,564 does not reflect the request from the sheriff for $2. So the 100,000 from the sheriff requested.
We've also got 2 months with inmate revenue come in that we did not figure in on this.
So the sheriff's additional request is 120.
Yeah, it's
How much?
the amount that's
120.
in this budget.
But the total request is, what's the total request?
What I'm saying, but we've got another 80,000 coming in this year.
Yeah, but that just.
The total is over 300,000 in it.
Keeps your
Am I right on that one?
shortfall.
The total request from the sheriff's department is over 300,000 extra dollars?
In total, yes, the total sheriff's
The,
request was.
the new revenue he needs is 300,000.
That amounts, that 300,000, though, keep in mind, 68,000 was gas.
Okay, that's not his
And
fault. Okay.
55,000 was additional money put into, the healthcare because he's keeping more inmates. So you're talking 123,000 of that total figure are those two line items.
Of the total 330. Okay.
So.
Okay.
And I'll throw this up, we're not even looking at buying him a patrol car this year.
Two in the grant.
But I mean,
Yeah.
as far as us buying
Our
our
budgets.
Right.
And so normally, on a normal year, we would be buying at least 2 or 3, you know, and we're not.
Well, we have that formula now. If it gets over, you're right, it goes over what? How much was it? The mileage? 50,000, and we do that again, right, yeah.
And we set ourselves up
Well, we have to
very
buy that.
well on that.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate this year, we're not having to buy one. Next year, we're gonna have to buy some, probably a couple patrol cars.
So now this is a hypothetical, it's just all hypothetical. Let's just say we do a 13-cent tax increase. How's that, how much more would that department need? I mean,
I think they're getting ahead a little bit there.
okay,
And this is my opinion.
all
We're a long ways away from finalizing the budget, so,
right,
a long ways away from needing to determine
great.
a rate.
Right.
If we
But it
have,
needs to be put out there, and I'm glad you did it. It needs to be put out there and talked about.
this is a hard process every year that we go through, and it's tedious. And we, you know, it's certainly our option to dive in there and go line item by line item. But the budget that we've got, I mean, the mayor has worked really hard on this, and Karen, and it is very conservative. I mean, there is a few other things that we can hopefully find, but we're still, at the end of the day, we're going to be a long ways away from.
On the,
Well, I think 13 cents would be the absolute most that we would have to. That's worst case scenario. I wouldn't say in raising 13, but that's worst case scenario. I think.
If we were to accommodate for the sheriff's request, I'm just keep reiterating that, it probably would fall closer to 17.
Right.
but now that's also including, and well, the reason I'm discussing his budget is because it's the largest addition. But now that's also, were there monies in there that he inputted in the budget concerning a medical provider? Was there anything monies in that toward that? So there's nothing toward that. Okay, just ask us to look at it. His department's gonna have to do that. They're gonna have to come back with us with a plan. It's not the mayor's responsibility to do it. It's that department's responsibility to do it. Number two,
His biggest increase, I think, was to try to
bring the jailers up to $12 an hour. Right.
which is still
Well, all right.
low compared to.
That low end on the scale, it beats 1030.
It helps.
Yeah.
He's better jail.
Let's do it. So we kind of know what we're facing.
Yeah.
Now the big question for me is how do we attack it? I know on former commissions how we attacked it. We all got in here and we took that an eye item and line item and we just went through everything. So what are we going to do?
We've not even got to the
Yeah.
expenditures.
Right, so,
So,
but that's how we get to the real numbers.
the goal on Saturday will be to look at expenditures. So we're going to spend the duration of our time going through the expenditures.
Okay.
I would be an advocate that we don't do everyone's budget line item by line item, more so looking at some of the bigger.
Well, yeah, well, I think.
Teresa, similarly, there's no need.
I think if the budgets are the same, close to what they were last year, then just go along and go with it. But if you're getting a request for $300,000 more dollars, then I think you have to take that budget and you got to really just dissect it and look at it and see,
Yeah, most of the budgets are.
Yeah,
guidelines,
right.
They are year after year.
Yeah,
Guidelines,
so
they
you're
include
right
the-
on that.
They include the small salary increases
Mhm,
mandated
right.
by the state,
Mhm.
a few health insurance changes. That's usually the bulk of it. But, some years like this year, you got more elections, and you got,
Mhm.
more expense with that office.
Right.
You might have a reappraisal year coming up.
Yeah.
They have to have more expenses for the assessor's office. And there's years where certain offices have to have more. They have to.
Sure, they just have to.
But for the most part, most of these budgets are
Okay.
in line with last year, including the mandated increases and stuff like that. But what I would suggest is that we got a couple days to
Look
each
through
one
it.
of us, go through
Yeah,
this
boy.
book and identify what you think we should cut, each one of us. And when we start going through the budget Saturday, each office will have a budget. I mean, if you got something to throw out, you think be a savings, bring it up. And that's how we'll whittle away at that shortfall.
That's how we've done it in the past.
But like Steve said, most of the budgets are
Or in line?
not. And
There's nothing to do about the office holders.
No,
Right.
gracious, no. I'd just like to fix it. I'd like to just fix it.
Go down to.
I mean,
Run for
you understand?
Phil's job.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we struggle every year with money.
We always,
We just struggle.
So that's kind of my idea as it relates to the budget process. Is that we'll spend time on Saturday. We have one more meeting scheduled. We have two more meetings, this Saturday and the following Saturday scheduled to review budgets. And then I would propose that we go ahead and do a special call session for the first reading for the budget.
Okay.
Do we feel comfortable with that? Do we need more meetings between this?
Well,
Saturday
let's
and
find out
Saturday?
after Saturday. I think we'll know after Saturday.
The one challenge is that if we're going to do additional meetings to this committee, we need to put out a notice.
Mhm.
So that notice need to go out in the morning if we're going to have a meeting next Wednesday or
Yeah.
Thursday. But if we want to hit our objective, which is have the budget presented by the end of June,
We want to do it.
then we need to have our meeting on June the 8th to do our first reading.
Right, and then a regular meeting.
And our regular meeting will be our second reading.
You want to have a meeting or schedule a meeting for next week, and if we don't do
We
it,
can always cancel it.
cancel it.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
I'll work with the mayor's office to see if we can't do it next Thursday night.
Right, yeah.
I'll check it.
What
Schedule.
time's the Saturday meeting?
Saturday meeting is 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Yeah, you're bringing, biscuits and donuts.
I'm bringing you oatmeal.
Somebody's bringing
and
coffee,
water.
right?
I want to say, thank you to Karen. Appreciate her taking her time out on her vacation
Yes.
to be here with us and all the hard work she's done, all the hard work that the mayor's done. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Karen.
Stay dry, Karen.
Mayor, thank you for doing what you do with your budget, and how you brought some monies out of that. I appreciate it.
you too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You got a hold,
Gotta find
you got a hold on it.
$200,000.
Yeah, go out there and get it.
Any other comments or questions? I'm reading that comment earlier, I apologize, I didn't get that shared. The 637 state grant, the windfall, we haven't seen before, so we had it to cover some of our one-time expenses. She's also an advocate that we do schedule more meetings.
Okay,
I'd love to schedule more meetings and cancel Saturday.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if we can knock it out next Wednesday, Thursday, I'd be okay with that as well.
It was, it's cold right now.
Anybody else? Thank you all so much. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,